Hello, I'm Steph from My Driver Classic, and my life has been so hectic lately. And when I opened my diary this week, I looked down and I thought, oh no, my MOT on Nancy is due this week and I have not prepped for it and I have not planned for it, which meant only one thing: heading onto eBay to get all my MOT bits and pieces to get Nancy through that test with flying colours, because she's never failed a test with me, and this year certainly wasn't going to be the first year. I've been on with so much lately. I've been on with work, I've been doing filming, trying to fix cars that don't want to be fixed, I've been doing events, and it's meant that getting MOT ready has been a tough task because my life hasn't been the usual 9 to 5. So I haven't been able to ring motor factors because I'm just not around when they're open, and I certainly have not been able to find an hour in my day to travel into town to hope they've got the bits and then come back again, maybe empty-handed, which meant that finding my MOT bits on eBay was essentially just the easiest one-stop shop, because eBay is a 24/7 platform, which meant it fitted into my lifestyle perfectly. If you're prepping for your MOT and when it's time, because I think we all have to face it, eBay is just so easy to use and it's got everything that you need. Now, if you've never used eBay for all your MOT bits and pieces before, let me show you, as I get all the bits ready to change the oil, just how easy it is. Whenever I'm preparing one of my cars for MOT, I start here on the MOT section. And as you scroll down here, you'll see that the website is so cleanly and simply laid out, and it makes finding everything an absolute breeze. Now, what you can do is you can just search at the search functionality there. And at the time of me doing my little hunt, there were over 500,000 items listed, which means my probability of finding everything I need in the MOT section on eBay is higher than probably anywhere else that I could start looking. Now, it's not just a case of scrolling through all these bits or searching. You can also search by category, and they've broken it down into very simple to shop categories. Things like the exhaust system, the ignition system. You just click into it and you can find all your bits there. You can also search by brand. You can search by brand type, so genuine OEM or aftermarket branded, which makes it all very easy to find everything you need in an incredibly short amount of time. With the car being restored only 12 months ago, I didn't really need to do too much to get her MOT ready on this occasion, but I thought an oil change would just ensure that everything was in tip-top shape, ready for the big day. So I bought the Castrol oil and I bought this Mailer oil filter. Okay, first things first, make sure you've got your gloves on. Now, when you're getting this pumped up, remember, two golden rules here is: number one is make sure your engine is warm before you start thinking about draining that oil. We've driven over to the workshop, so the car is warm enough already. And number two, remember that you're going to need some axle stands for this as well, because you should never just work off a jack. It is not safe. Now I'll put another couple of pumps in and then we'll grab the axle stands. To do this job with flair, you're going to need two tools. Number one, 3/4 UNF spanner, and number two, a fairly good torch. So I'm going to get underneath here. Now, if you've never done this before and you're looking for the location, it's probably quite obvious. It's on the sump. So what you want to do is you want to get your oil pan, which is just here, and you want to get this under here and get it in position, because once this oil starts going, it starts going. The next thing to do is to go at that aluminium oil filter housing. Now, you need 9/16 for this if you're doing it on your Morris Minor. And remember, just like with the oil, you want to be catching that plug before it catches you. Now, whilst those two are merrily chugging away into the oil pan, let's talk about these bits and pieces. So number one, I always use Castrol 2050 oil. And the reason I do it is because it's really important to invest in your engine. And a lot of people think that driving carefully is the whole thing around it, but it isn't. Buying a good quality oil like this one is so important, because not only does it give you better performance, it lubricates your engine better. And I tend to find, and I've got some seasoned experience now, that spending a few extra quid on oil seems to just give engines a little bit more life. Now, for me with an A series, it's very easy for me to rebuild it and get all the parts and stuff. But for those of you out there with engines that are a little bit more scarce, it pays dividends to keep it going for longer, because you're just finding it harder to get some of those parts. Now, in terms of the oil filter, I've gone for the Mailer. It's just, I don't know if you've seen these before. It's just paper elements, so it's just, as you'd probably expect. And it actually saved me money buying this for my MOT off eBay, because on eBay it was just over £10 and at the local motor factor it was £15. Now both the Triumph and the Marina need some work this summer, so saving money where I can means that I can invest it back into them later on. Now, word of warning before we start reassembling is that if you are draining the oil out of your car, make sure you get rid of it in a responsible way. For us locally in Kirklees, the easiest way for us to get rid of it and the most ethical way is to take it to the local refuse centre in a receptacle and they get rid of it there for us. Never dispose of it down the drains or into the garden, because that's not the right thing to do. Okay, it's reassembly time. Rubber O-ring is back on, so we just need to get this all put back together. So you get the bolt and you push it on through. Don't do what I did earlier and drop it. You get your spring and you thread that on to the bolt. You then get this little diaphragm, pop that on. And then we take the filter, which we've bought especially for the job. And we slide it on, and then we get back under the car and reassemble it. Right, we're pouring the last few drops of oil in, which means that our MOT prep on Nancy is so nearly complete. Now, if you, like me, are getting your car MOT ready at home, make sure you do the same as me and head over to eBay UK for all your MOT